How much money do you need to retire early? It depends. No one can tell you how much you need to budget or how much you need to live on. We all have such different expenses. It makes a huge difference where you live, how healthy you are, if you own your home, if you have debt, and on and on. Everyone's definition of comfortable living is also different. Tracking your spending is really important. We all know how much we spend on fixed expenses like your mortgage, your cable bill, your phone bill, and things that are the same amount every month. You might think you have a pretty good idea of how much you spend on entertainment, groceries, and things like that that are different every month. But you don't really know until you track your spending for an extended period of time. I recommend tracking for a whole year if possible. We forget about expenses that only come up once a year, and we spend different amounts on things that aren't fixed each month. Once you have a good, solid monthly budget, you're ready to start calculating. You might also want to consider what costs could go up, what could go down, and what might be eliminated altogether. I have a video about my personal monthly retirement budget that I'll link in the description below. We have no idea how long we're going to live. We can't really predict inflation, taxes, or investment returns. You might try to calculate for a future number, but the future is unknown. You just have to make assumptions and use a rule of thumb like the 4% rule for planning. After making an accurate monthly budget, multiply by 12 to get your annual budget for retirement. My monthly budget is $3,384 in after-tax money. And that's really overestimated. There are a lot of areas where I could spend less if I needed to. So I'm going to use $3,200, which is more realistic for me. I've paid off all debt and I live very frugally. So I need about $38,400 in after-tax money for my annual retirement needs. I have strategies to keep myself in a lower tax bracket that will limit taxes for me. So I'll add in $3,000 a year for taxes, even though the way I've planned it, it'll probably be less. I like to err on the side of caution. So let's call it $41,400 needed in pre-tax income for retirement. Now you'll need to subtract any sources of income that you'll have in addition to your portfolio. I'll have a pension that's about $9,600 a year. I have a bridge account to cover my first year of retirement until I reach age 59 and a half. This bridge account will also help cover a small gap in income before I take Social Security. I'll have side income from YouTube that's been averaging about $900 a month. So I'm going to guesstimate $10,800 a year. I'm planning to take Social Security at age 62 if I need to. The reduced Social Security amount will be $14,400 a year. By the way, there's a great tool for estimating your Social Security amount if you're going to be retiring early. The Social Security website will tell you how much you should get at age 62, but that's assuming you'll be working full-time until age 62. I'll put a link in the description below for this tool. It can help you figure out how much you'd get at age 62 if you stop working at age 58 or any other age. So from age 59 and a half to age 62, I'll have my pension and side income, which should be about $20,400 a year. If I include the small amount left over in my bridge account, I could bring that up to $24,000 a year. Then, after age 62, I'll have my pension and Social Security, which will be about $24,000 a year. I may still continue with my side gig after age 62, but if I do, that will just be extra income. So $41,400 of pre-tax income needed, minus $24,000 from my other income sources. equals $17,400 per year needed. This is how much I'll need to pull from my retirement portfolio. I could use the 4% rule for planning purposes, but personally, I've decided I want to do 3.5%. So I need to figure out 3.5% of what size nest egg would equal $17,400. Divide $17,400 by 3.5%. That equals $497,143. That's how I came up with my retirement number. This became my goal, to save this amount for retirement. And I do recalculate this number every so often. We can really only think in terms of today's money. Inflation is obviously going to increase our costs in the future. We can plan for that by assuming our investments will grow in excess of inflation. My small pension has a COLA. Social Security will too when I start that. I'm hoping that my YouTube income will slowly increase. And I'm hoping to average 7% returns from my retirement portfolio. If I pull a safe withdrawal rate of 3.5% each year, that leaves 3.5% to cover inflation without touching the principal. I know inflation can be higher and returns can be lower. In order to make 7% returns, I'm going to have to keep some aggressive funds in bucket number 3. That's hard for me, but I know I need to do it. CDs and high-yield savings rates are great right now, over 5%. But that's still not enough to keep up with inflation if I'm pulling 3.5%. So I've got to put my big girl panties on and I've got to keep some money in aggressive funds. Using the bucket strategy allows me to do this without worrying all the time. With inflation, your spending will increase every year and your investments need to keep up with that. The 4% rule basically says that in the first year you'll pull 4% of your portfolio. In the second year it'll be 4% plus inflation, and so on. The 4% rule is good for planning purposes. You wouldn't want to pull 4% in a bear market. This is where the bucket strategy comes in. I have videos about the bucket strategy and safe withdrawal rates that I'll link below. 2 things frequently overlooked when calculating a retirement budget are taxes and healthcare. Both could put an end to your early retirement if you don't plan for them. I have some videos on healthcare options for early retirees and also on saving money on your taxes. I'll put some links below. Trying to project spending for a 30-plus year retirement can be scary because we can only think in today's terms. But this planning is so important because then you have a target number to aim for. You're not just saving as much as you can and hoping it'll be enough. Start by making a really accurate budget for yourself. Then factor in Social Security or any other sources of income that you have. Then use 4% or whatever safe withdrawal rate you're comfortable with to figure out your personal retirement number. If you don't know your number, it's really hard to say if you have enough money and when you should retire. Once you calculate the amount of money you need to save, your retirement target number, it will motivate you to save. The closer I got to my goal of $500,000, the more motivated I was to save. There isn't a one-size-fits-all amount of money that's enough to retire on. You have to put in the time tracking, calculating, and planning and figure out your own personal retirement number. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Julie and this channel's Happy on Monday. Thanks for joining me. If you found this helpful, please like. And if you're interested in retiring early, consider subscribing. I'm going to leave you with a quote. Appreciate the hard times. Someday they'll be just another chapter in your success story. Hope to see you again soon.